And good morning. It's 55 as you're waking up to a new Thursday. Almost got it confused again for Friday, but it is Thursday. We're getting real close to the weekend. It hasn't gotten here yet. 55, but it's going to be warm. We're going to hit 89 today before the temperature quits climbing. It's almost going to feel like summertime again. We are mid-October as we head towards some, well, what are we, 2 weeks off? Not far from the Candy Crawl downtown Meridian. Kids are going to get to start going to events. We're going to have tons and tons of different fall festivals. And again, we've got a bunch of them. Let me show you this. If you haven't added yours and sent it to us in the inbox at the top of our page, let me show you this. You can click here and it will show you all of the different events that are going on in Meridian. You can still vote there on the Varsity Award. So get those to us so we can share that with everybody so they'll know where to go and what to do. That's how we'll do that. Again, 55 as we're starting today. A lot of headlines that we'll get to. We had several reports already this morning of some brush fires. Be careful in anything you burn. It can get out of hand quickly and spread. We don't want that to happen to anyone. We'll be right back. Let's go to Collinsville now to the First Baptist Church and get our word of the day.
On Wednesday nights, after we finish with our student worship, a bunch of guys go and play basketball on a hoop out back. You know, it's fun sometimes to listen to them playfully. You know, as long as it doesn't get, well, you know, a little too intense, okay? Now, look, some of those guys, they're pretty good, and it's fun to watch them play. But compared to, say, I don't know, someone in the NBA, well, they don't really stack up, right? None of us would. So if we took an NBA player and we put them out back to play basketball, I guarantee the trash talk from our guys would go way, way down. In the same way, it makes no sense for us to brag on ourselves when the God of the universe is the only one who deserves praise. In Genesis 14, Abram hears that his nephew Lot has been captured. He gets 318 men. He goes after him. He gets him, and he brings him home along with a lot of valuable items, right? Surely there was a great celebration there. You know, and when it came time, the king of Sodom met him and told him, hey, you can have all the possessions. I'll just take the people back. And that's a pretty nice payment. But Abram answered him and said, hey, I've raised my hand in an oath to the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that, look, I will not take a thread or a sandal strap or anything that belongs to you so that you could never say, I made Abram rich. I will take nothing except what the servants have eaten. See, Abram didn't want the credit, and he didn't want for him to be the focus of attention. He wanted God to be the focus of the attention, God to be the focus of the story. And, you know, I wonder just sometimes in life, if we get so preoccupied with ourselves that we forget, it's not about us. This story that we're a part of, it's God's story, and He graciously allows us to be a part of it. So just remember that as you go throughout your day. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. And welcome back. I see Jeff Lewis is stirring. Hope you had some coffee, my friend. Makes us all better people. Me and Odie were discussing that earlier today. That'll change your attitude in life, make you happier. If you haven't ever tried it, go for it. It'll be good for you. Things like this disturb me because I've heard it said before. This one pretty much comes back as a instant karma as things get straightened out. Let me turn that down. This would be, where did this happen at? Texas, Magnolia, Texas. A nurse was pulled over, and as you guessed it, somehow or another, she'd had a little too much to drink. As they put her in a patrol car, she got mouthy, and a little bit mouthier. Then she went into how she told them that if they ever came to the hospital, she'd make sure that they passed away and they were not treated. She no longer has a job this morning. And that's just plain and simple. You don't do things like that. DUIs are not nice, but it does bring out the worst in some people. Some drunks are nice. You just don't need to be behind the wheel of a car and endanger families, and that's what that's all about. She got it. She's 35, looking for a job at this point. Does that get involved with your nursing license of stuff like that? It does.
Yeah, you'll lose it.
You can lose it. Can or most likely will. That. Ooh, boy, oh boy. John Bolton, y'all know who I'm talking about. Remember the guy with the mustache that needed to trim it? It was pretty bad there. They're saying that the grand jury is expected to indict the former national security advisor for transmitting classified documents. He could be in trouble. All those that brought trouble upon others with their power are finding out that, well, they may have broke the law also. This was about a few years ago. At one time, it was called Jeep. It's called Toledo. That is a company that builds for Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, all of those. They were going to put a plant in Canada. They're backtracking now. They're going to pull that and put it in the U.S. of A. That's good. I'm glad that's going to have $13 billion that will be reinvested into the United States instead of Canada. Let that be a message sent straight to Canada. We've had a lot of back talk over that country. And we do, again, let me stress this, we need manufacturing back in the U.S. of A. We got some folks that don't like to work, but they're going to have to learn how to. America's gotten soft. And all the statistics point out jobs using your hands, using your smarts are coming back. Learn a trade, it will come in handy at some point. Do you realize what the average, now this is average, y'all. And if you've bought a new car lately, you're going to go, yeah, I agree with you. The average is $50,000 now for a car. I can remember, I was a kid, and my grandmother bought a 1976 Ford F-150. It was loaded out, but it still had the roll-down windows and the AM radio. That's what you got back then. If I remember, it was $3,500, $3,600. Time sure has changed. That was back when pickup trucks were not the thing. Y'all remember that? You just bought a pickup truck to either go to work in or haul trash off in. It wasn't made for the family. Things have changed a lot since then, but prices sure have changed. And again, a lot of this is due to the fines and the way you have to build. Car manufacturers in some degrees can't help this. It's just the way the world is turned. But $50,000 on average. Not all are that high, but average. Marco Rubio. Boy, this guy has really done an outstanding job. I didn't think, seriously, I'm not going to lie, when they announced Marco Rubio was getting promoted, I didn't think much of it. I just thought of him as little Marco.
Yeah.
And he did talk a good game, but I didn't think he had any, I don't know if the word is backbone, but boy, he sure is surprising me. This week, he tells us that the UN, get this now, the UN is attempting to pass the first global carbon tax, which would increase your food, energy, and fuel costs around the world. He says we will not allow that to happen to U.S. taxpayers, American citizens. Go get them, boy. Again, he is doing a fantastic job. I've even heard rumor, could there be a Rubio presidency one day? There was a point in time I'd have said absolutely not. That's just one of his little dreams he's having there. But he's really shown some leadership. That is possible in his future there. Meta, Facebook, however you want to call them, has removed the Facebook page that was tracking ICE agents. That's gone. It's a thing of the past. And they were doing this to where people could show up and hurt them. Did y'all ever think you'd live in a country to where the citizens wanted to hurt law enforcement? I didn't. We'll get to a guy that you need to know his name in a minute so you'll know to avoid him. We've got new totals of what's been going on. There's so much talk as we see the Illinois governor doesn't want agents there. We're getting word that San Francisco could have a circle next to their city of bringing in troops to help out with crime. Washington, D.C., a total of 4,358 arrests have been made with 413 illegal guns seized off of the streets. And that's in Washington. As we go to Memphis, 854 arrests and 100 illegal guns have been seized off of the streets. Now, I watched an interview with a guy that there's no way, I think he even said during the interview, I didn't vote for Trump. I don't care for him. But he said, sure is nice to walk down Memphis now and not be scared. That's how the change begins, slowly but surely, people seeing how life is a little bit better. That's what this is all about. It's a shame we have to fight for justice within our own streets. Now, I think Odie mentioned this the other morning, and it's all factual. And this book always continues to be the number one book sold in the world. But, let me put that but in there. Do we realize that Bible sales are up 41%? 41%. Now, one can only give a little credit there to Charlie of what happened to him of bringing more people to Christianity. It's a shame that a man had to give his life for others to turn. And I hope this is not just a fad of a couple of months. Y'all know how things, fad comes in and people, well, it's kind of like somebody that gets in trouble. They show up to church about 2 times and they ask for the church to pray for them. Within 3 weeks, you don't see them again. Let's hope this sticks and resonates with the young, our future. We've got to have folks with leadership abilities as we're on this same subject. Do you remember when Oklahoma passed it a few years ago, the superintendent of education for the state of Oklahoma, and they were going to put it into where Bible was taught in schools? They've got a new superintendent of education that's been sworn in. He's going to revoke all of that. Now, it's a fine line, don't get me wrong, of religion in schools. It is. But we have got to have some, well, it goes back to family. All of this goes into this.
If you teach one side, you've got to teach both sides.
Yeah, and what Odie is saying there, if you teach one side, you've got to teach the other side. And that's where church, separation of church and all of that comes in. Because there's some bad stuff out there. The basis of America was discovered on this. Now, Mel Gibson, as we're on the religion subject this morning, has caught a lot of flack. A lot of people were saying you need to put the guy that played Jesus back into the film of the resurrection of Christ. And Mel goes, y'all got to remember this. This was some 20-something years ago. The guy's in his late 50s now. He's no longer 30 or 33. And he has now found the guy that's going to play the part, and filming is getting ready to start the second half of Jesus. That was a very interesting film that Mel Gibson done.
That was powerful.
Very powerful. You hear about what Jesus went through and carrying that cross down the streets and how they hit him, but we have never seen a film that really portrayed, and I need to say it this way, hell upon earth that man suffered. I have never seen it quite like I did in that, and it really changes the way you think of it, of what he did for you. So that movie is getting ready to begin filming there. Hey, we had an emergency landing yesterday. Y'all heard about this? It's not a good feeling if you've ever flown much, and I know there's some people, believe it or not, that have never been in an airplane. There's just never been a reason to be in an airplane. There was many years I had never flown, and I had to go out of town, and we flew. But there's just, if you don't have to leave your home to go do things, you don't fly. But being at 40, 50,000 feet and somebody goes, hey, there's a crack in the windshield, it is not a good feeling. The airplane has to start descending quickly. They got down to 10,000 feet. The interesting thing was who they were flying. Secretary of State Pete Hegseth. They had to make an emergency landing. They circled back to the UK. He's okay, but that could have turned out ugly as we look at that. Now, we've all seen these stories to where, and you know this, to where if somebody's picking on your child, you tell your child to take up for themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. But there becomes a line to when a dad tells a child to go whoop another child. And we're seeing that now. This was in Missouri. He's going to be arrested and charged. Do you remember me telling you a couple of days ago about the cartel basically putting a bounty out on people that work for ICE? Oh, they've caught one. He's illegal. He put out a $10,000 bounty on a ICE agent. They've arrested this guy. He's in deep trouble. USAID, do y'all remember that little group that was giving millions for, I won't even go into all of that stuff that they were doing there in other countries. Teaching people to be, doesn't matter. USAID is over. It's completely shut down now. Thought you needed that update. NBC getting ready to have major layoffs. 150 job cuts are expected. They haven't had the highest headline ratings in quite a while, have they? Now, I'm going to show you a picture of this next guy. Let me show you who he is. I have never heard of him. Anybody ever heard of a guy that thinks he's a singer named Brian Andrews? I have heard rants, but I have never heard anything quite like this. Let me show you what he looks like here. This is him. This guy right here. Remember that face. He just did this rant. And this guy here shared it. This is on his TikTok page here. You can look it up if you even care to listen to it. This guy here. And that's his rant that he got on about ICE. And he accuses people that are Christians of not being a Christian because they believe in deporting people that are not American citizens. And he said some ugly things about Christians. He calls himself a singer. I played half of a note for about 20 seconds. I didn't care for it. You may like this guy, but he's got troubles now. Red-blooded Americans don't care for that. And it doesn't matter what country we're talking about. We're talking about the laws of the land and immigration and running down Christians at the same time. Because you believe in the laws of our land does not make you a bad person. He needs to go back and rethink his plan. But if you care to look up who he is and believe all of that. Donald J., as I've always said, is usually pretty good at coming up with a good tweet, and he's got one for us here. This was off Truth Social. Did y'all see that thing of the No Kings protest, all of that? Here's what Donald had to say. A huge thank you to all of the No King protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place, but thanks to your tireless efforts, I am still your president. Great job. Nothing quite like that, man, is it? Always get a laugh out of him. Nancy. Anybody watch all this with Nancy Pelosi? They had a reporter that followed her out of the Capitol as she was walking to her car, and she kept trying to get a comment about her refusing the National Guard on January 6th. Nancy finally cracked and started yelling at it. Here's a picture of the reporter, Sarah Rose. And again, that's from Twitter. And Nancy just starts yelling at her, shut up, shut up, shut up. She didn't want to face the truth of the matter, did she? Candace Owens. And I don't know what to tell you about Candace. I don't know where I stand on this. I don't know enough about it. Candace has been very vocal since Charlie's death. And again, we all know that she worked with Charlie. She's made a lot of claims. I don't know whether she's right, whether she's wrong. I don't. We do know that this morning that she is not going to be able to enter Australia. They banned her from the country. She will not be able to enter. She had fought it in court to have it overturned. Didn't happen. Let me see where this guy is from. Florida. Anybody recognize that? He's a Republican, Representative Corey Mills. Y'all familiar with him? A judge has hit him with a restraining order from his ex-girlfriend. Why? He's been threatening her to show nude photos of her if she dates someone. She did go out with somebody, and he threatened that guy. Oh, I'm telling you, love is strange and brings out the worst in people sometimes. He's got a restraining order. The guy that started the fires, y'all remember that? Palisade fires, Los Angeles, California. He's facing 45 years in prison now. That's a heap of them, isn't it? Again, we're sitting at 55 this morning. We're coming up on 6:50. That's where I got my tongue twisted there. We're going to do your weather forecast next. Don't rush off. We'll go over all of that in just a moment and find out what the weather's going to do. There is a chance of severe weather this weekend. We'll tell you all about that coming up.
When your AC goes out, your sink leaks, or your breakers are tripping, you need help fast from someone you can trust. That's why we work hard to have the fastest service times and the most knowledgeable technicians in Central Mississippi. Our promise to you, at your door in under 24. So don't wait days for others to show up. Call Environment Masters for hassle-free plumbing, electrical, and AC at your door in under 24, because it's not cool to make you wait.
The Scotty Ray Report studio is sponsored by Environment Masters, providing hassle-free heating and cooling, plumbing, and electrical services since 1957, and now serving Meridian homeowners. Well, I didn't have the right button there. I was making sure I had the right information here. I want to, as we'll get into this severe weather threat here in just a little bit, let me drag this over. We'll be able to get to this easy to show you what we got going on with that here in just a second. Almost there. All right, let's get into what we have this morning as we get into that forecast and look at our record highs and record lows. Let's go take a look now. If I can get back to this button. Had too many things going on, didn't I? Our record highs and lows back at 90. It was 93 today with that high. 1987, low of 33. Very cool there. Now, as we look at our record highs, not our record highs, but our highs for today, we'll see 88 in Columbus. Meridian should come in somewhere around 89. A tad cooler in Philadelphia, not much more as we get into South Haven, Oxford, Clarksdale area. 85-ish in that area there. Greenwood in the Delta area will be a little bit warmer all the way down to Natchez, with us seeing about 84 on the Mississippi Gulf Coast is what we'll see. Now, as lows come in tonight, we'll see 60 for a low in Meridian tonight. Not as cool as it is this morning. 55 right now. As we look at Philadelphia, you should see 59. Up in Corinth there at the state line at Tennessee, we should see 58. And warmer as we go down to the Gulf Coast. The low of 66 is what is expected. As we go to Bama, here's what we've got in Alabama this morning. We'll see 89 in Demopolis, about the same as it is here in Meridian. Over in Birmingham, we should see 86. Auburn, Alabama comes in at 85 this morning. And a warm 89 there showing up in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, this is what I was trying to get to make sure I had the latest, greatest when it comes to the severe weather. Here's what is expected over the weekend from the National Weather Service, as we'll see that we're seeing more of a level 1 area at this point. And we'll see this Saturday night is what they're saying. Our biggest threat in the Meridian area is, you see, this will cut short here in Philadelphia. Our biggest threat will be here on Sunday. We'll look at the forecast on that in a moment. That level 2 barely taken in Clarksdale, Tunica, up to Memphis in that area there, level 2 out of 5. Most of Mississippi will be under a level 1, meaning chance of severe thunderstorms, gust of up to 60 miles an hour with rain and hail up to a quarter size is what we're expecting with that. Again, the Meridian area should see most of its rain moving in on Sunday, is what I'm expecting there. Here's what we've got when it comes to temperatures as we look at this. Still warmer South Texas, Laredo, those areas there around Brownsville, real warm. Mississippi warmer, as we'll see. Here's our 7-day forecast as we'll see today 88 to 89. We'll see the same. It's almost an identical forecast for Thursday and Friday. Even into Saturday, it's perfect. No rain expected for the big show that we'll have with Bud and Burgers Saturday. I couldn't get it out, could I? It'll be perfect with it. Now, as I mentioned, this is when our chance of rain moves in on Sunday. A 50% chance there. Everything will be perfect Saturday. Carry your umbrella off to church on Sunday. As we get into next week, we'll see a little bit there, cooler weather, 78 on Monday, and then low 80s at least through Wednesday. Let's take another look into the week as we see this 70-degree weather comes back in about Thursday and lingers until the following Monday, possibly all the way through the 30th of October. Slight chances of rain with that increasing up around the 28th, 29th. We should see more chances of rain toward the end of the month. Now, again, if you are a deer hunter and not planted your patches, it's time to do that. We'll have that rain coming in on Sunday. And get it in before then. You'll have Saturday morning to get it done. As we'll see our best fishing times, let's see what we've got from Clarkdale Superette. Major times to fish today, about 8 o'clock this morning through 10 a.m. A minor time will be this afternoon between 3 and 5 if you want to be out fishing, as we'll see that sunrise happened at 6:59. Coming up on that in just a moment. Sunset, we're going to get cut short again at 6:20. Let's move to our deer hunting calendar as we see that it's an average day Nothing great, nothing bad today. A calm wind becoming northeast around 5 miles an hour by the afternoon. Major times to deer hunt today are 8:17 to 10:17 this morning. A minor time will be this afternoon from 3:30 until 4:30 if you're going to be out deer hunting. Sunrise again 6:59. Sunset rolls in at 6:20. Let's talk about the tropics. What's going on with that? Absolutely nothing. All storms have diminished. That's good. Let's hope we can hold that all the way to the end of November. Let's go back now and take a look at radar as we'll pull up live radar to see what we've got this morning. As we look across the state of Mississippi, as we go to Doc's Toyota, nothing happening in Mississippi, but look at the fog we got down in Houma, Louisiana. A bunch there, a smidgen of fog this morning around Gadsden. Again, no chances of rain today in Mississippi or in Alabama. A little bit of fog east of Murfreesboro, and as always through Charleston and those areas, we've got a little bit there. Not much rain happening anywhere. Miami has a shower or two, but just a teeny bit there. Nothing bad for us there. So we've got a good weather day ahead of us. We're getting ready for the morning show. We'll be back in a couple of minutes from now to get everything rolling. It's nice and cool now. Enjoy it because it will warm up by the afternoon. We'll be right back in a few moments as the morning show gets underway at the Scotty Ray Report. We'll see you then.